Welcome back to the latest video. I know it's been a very long time, but the first video I'm going to kick off with is going to be this one. So, hope y'all enjoy. So, obviously, like it says for the first 60 people, they are all ranked the same. Because, like it says, they either have no tragic origin or they literally just become a criminal. So, without further ado, let's kick it off. We have the Clock, the Moth, the Ratcatcher, Polka Dot Man, the Killer Moth, the Octopus, the Shark, the Vulture, and the Fox, the Terrible Trio. We have the Zodiac Master, the Signal Man, the Shiner, the Crimson Knight, the Kabuki Twins, Funhouse, the Cannoneer, Mr. Camera, the Cock King, the Chancer, the Calculator, the Brand, the Spinner, Sea Fox, Dr. Aesop, Kite Man, Condiment King, Tiger Shark, Egghead, Electrocutioner, Glass Man, the Broker, the Spellbinder, the Mirror Man, Mirage, Mr. Hydra, the Getaway Genius, Simon the Pieman, Sweet Tooth, the Atomic Man, the Bouncer, Monarch of Menace, King Cobra, Madam Zodiac, Dr. Zodiac, Mr. Roulette, Mr. Esper / Captain Calamity / Mr. Esper / Brainwash, the Cavalier, Captain Stingery, the Duplicate Man, Mr. Bloom, Colonel Gum, Stilken Spider, Tiger Moth, Dragonfly, Dr. Sinsin, Captain Clown, Mr. Baffle, Hardak, Copperhead, the White Rabbit, the Carpenter, Dormouse, Professor Hugo Strange, the Unicorn, the Lion, the Walrus. And then first off, our first person actually ranked is Magpie. So, there we are, of course. So this is what each slide is going to look like. Got a bunch of pictures from different shows, movies, and comic books. There's her bio. And again, 117 is the starting point, so Magpie. And next, here we go. The Human Magnet. And our next person, number 115. We have KG Beast. So also, just a heads up, you could like and subscribe this video and never miss another questionable video. Next up, 114. We have the Masquerader. So also, if there's ever a video you guys want to see, just post it in the comments down below, and I will most likely make it. Number 113, we have the Zebra Man. Zebra Man, I feel like, is pretty popular. Probably not. It's probably just a raw assumption. I don't know. Zebra Man's an interesting dude. I like him. He's kind of funny. 112, we have the Jackalhead, or the Jackal Emperor. Definitely a very interesting man. Very unique. Probably also nobody has ever heard of. And number 111, interesting. We have Tweedledee and Tweedledum. So technically it's 111 and 110. There you go, kids. The Henchman of the Mad Hatter. And next up we have 109 being the Executioner. And also there was Captain Nathaniel Barnes from the show Gotham. But I feel like Willie Hooker is more the better person for this, since that's who he originally was. Moving on, we have 108 being the Junkyard Dog. Junkyard Dog is a kind of fun person. But the Beware the Batman, I think it's called. Yeah, Beware the Batman. Kind of changed him a little bit. Made him more of into a criminal instead of a mentally unstable person. Moving on to 107, we have the Doodlebug. And again, with Beware the Batman, they changed his character a little more, making him more of a mercenary instead of, again, a criminally insane artist. with a taste for blood. Moving on to 106, we have the Spirit of the Goat, exclusive to Gotham. The Spirit of the Goat is an okay character. Moving on to 105, the Calendar Man. Calendar Man is... I don't even know where to begin with Calendar Man. I mean, it's just the Calendar Man. The Calendar Man is a very popular Batman villain, and I think actually, like, one of the first ones on the list that is kind of famous. I feel like a lot of people like Calendar Man just because of how stupid he is. Moving on to 104, we have the Penny Plunderer. A really dumb rogue, but pennies. Moving on to 103, the Spook. This is one of my favorite villains. He's just a fun dude. I have a spelling error. Oop, that's a shame. There we go. Fixed. The Spook. He's just, I don't know, I just love the dude so much. 102. Cornelius Stirk. Holy moly. I really do not care for Cornelius Stirk that much. I think a lot of people somewhat like him if they do know who he is, but he's just not that fun to me. Moving on to 101, the P.I. Messin' Man. You better not go messing around with the P.I. Messin' Man. He's an okay character. He ain't the worst, ain't the best. I'd say he's in the middle. Moving on to number 100. In the top hundreds now, we have the Elemental Man. Again, an okay character. I'd say he's a little worse than the P.I. Messin' Man, but hey, not all DC villains are at the best, you know. Everybody's got their issues. Moving on to 99, we have Fright. Again, I don't really care for Fright. I think it's just lower on the list for her. Oh, and also, I want this made clear, it's not ranked upon popularity or anything like that. It's ranked upon what I opinionate as unfortunacy. How unfortunate the character is. Being that through what happened to them, their origin story, their present self, I guess. Moving on to 98. We have King Snake. King Snake, just a fun fact, is Bane's father, biologically. I guess it's kind of weird how you get Bane from King Snake, but you get what you get. 97. We have the Eraser. The Eraser is just... the Eraser, bruh. He's a fun dude. I wish he could erase my past. Oh, and hey, he could erase our emotions. Moving on to 96. We have Bookworm. Bookworm is... He's a pretty fun dude. But... He's an okay. He's literally just a librarian. Moving on to 95. We have the Music Meister. Music Meister has definitely changed a lot compared to like the animated versions to the CW and then the new Harley Quinn show. Moving on to 94. We have Anarchy. Anarchy is definitely a lot more famous. than a lot of the other characters we've seen so far. Moving on to 93, we have the Sewer King. Sewer King from Batman the Animated Series was a very, very interesting character. Definitely went to a serious topic compared to the first 2 episodes, with the Sewer King being the third one. Moving on to 92, we have Dr. Simon Hurt, or simply Dr. Hurt. And then on that little list, that's from the Harley Quinn show, we have Deadshot, Deathstroke, Dee Dee, Dr. Aesop, Dr. Death, Dr. Hurt, Dr. Trap, and Dr. Robotnikowitz, which I think was like his chiropractor or something like that. Moving on to 91, we have the Gorilla Boss. There's a lot of gorilla-themed villains in the DC universe. I mean, you got Silverback, Gorilla Grodd, Solovar, Ultra Humanite, Monsieur Mallah. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. Because there's also, there's also the mod Gorilla Boss. Moving on to 90, we have Lockup. Lockup's a really, really fun character in my opinion. I mean, just the whole central idea of a corrupt security guard punishing criminals. I mean, he's kind of like an anti-hero, depending on how you look at it, but he just goes corrupt in the end. Moving on to 89, the Balloon Man. Again, exclusive to Gotham. Balloon Man was a fun man. I think if they would have made it a little more murder mystery, because the episode itself was kind of like Scooby-Doo, because it was just a character that had like 2 scenes, and then it turns out he's just this really mentally unstable man trying to prove a point. Moving on to 88, we have the Mutant Leader. Mutant Leader is just very boring. It's literally just a buff dude. It's just Bane, but more weird and messed up. Moving on to 87, we have Film Freak. Film Freak is a little better, but it's just, I don't know, it's just an insane cameraman. He's just an insane actor. What do you do? Moving on to 86, we have the Soul Reaper, again exclusive to Gotham. This is kind of hard to do because he had like 2 scenes and he died. Moving on to 85, Colonel Blimp. Colonel Blimp is an interesting character because it's literally just Colonel and then Blimp. He has a blimp. What do you think Blimp does? Colonel Blimp, what do you think a guy named Colonel Blimp would fight with? A blimp? Nah, it's actually a jet ski. Moving on to 84, the Black Rogue / the Black Knight. This fella was a pretty fun character to actually find. I'm happy I did, because he was a interesting, kind of weird character by the end. Moving on to 83, we have Catman. Catman is an amazing character. I feel like a lot of people kind of overlook when they're looking through Batman villains. Moving on to 82, we have the Crazy Quilt. I love Crazy Quilt. That's spelled right. Crazy Quilt has also seen some different designs. Oh dear lord. Because, I mean, you got one where he has a beret, and then you have the just classic helmet with the red, yellow, and blue dots. But then if you go into, like, the Lego version, it has a red helmet, and then has the teacher, and then it's like a cowboy-looking dude. Moving on to 81. We have the Stalker. This was a very boring character. I don't really like mercenaries that much. Mercenaries and Hitman. He's basically Kraven the Hunter from Spider-Man. That's all this dude's got going for him. Moving on to 80. We have Luke Oliver, exclusive to Batman Arkham Asylum. Moving on in 79. We have Punchline. That's all spelled right. See, this is why I don't like autocorrect. Moving on to 78, we have the Merrymaker. Merrymaker, I just love Merrymaker. Looks like a plague doctor. We have a picture of Mr. Freeze, Merrymaker, Scarecrow, Harley Quinn, and Professor Pig. Maybe it's just an excuse to add them. Moving on to 77, we have Deacon Blackfire. I don't really like the normal version of Deacon Blackfire, but I love the Arkham Knight version. I just love the idea of an evil priest. Just him being a religious zealot the entire goddamn time. Moving on to 76. We have Firefly. I love Firefly. I don't know why, I just love Firefly. Now, Firefly is definitely one of the more popular and famous. And obviously, the more famous and popular they are, the more they'll be in shows and movies and comics and all that. And the more pictures they'll get. Because, like, some of them you've seen, they have, like, 2 or 3 pictures. And then you look at, like, Firefly and you got all these pictures. Fun. And, of course, we have a second part. Oh, dear Lord. Firefly has definitely gone through some changes. For better or for worse. Moving on to 75. We have Deathstroke. Again, I don't really care for Deathstroke for the simple fact that he's a mercenary and assassin. I don't really care for those that much. But hey, he's famous, he's popular. Moving on to 74. We have Dr. No-Face. I wonder why he's called that. Moving on to 73. We have Dagger. Dagger's a fun character, it seems like, but he's just very misused, like almost every other character. You do not need a million movies with the Joker. And, like, 2 with, like, the Riddler, Penguin, or Scarecrow. Moving on to 72. We have Cluemaster. Cluemaster, again, is a fun character. But he never gets used. There's all these really cool, fun characters that fade into obscurity and get forgotten. Moving on to 71. We have Roxy Rocket. Roxy Rocket, again, is a interesting character, but to say the least. Moving on to 70. We have the Calendar Girl, maybe. There we go. I love the concept of Calendar Girl. It's got that kind of like jigsaw theme. Moving on to number 69. We got the King of Cats. Really boring. Come on, you don't need the King of Cats. Moving on to 68. We have Gaggy, Joker's first sidekick. to 67. We have Dr. Double X. I really like Dr. Double X. I wish they'd use him more. Moving on to 66. We have Gearhead. Gearhead's an okay character. Number 65, we have the Toy Maker. I love the Toy Maker so much. He's only had 2 real appearances. The first one being in the Batman show in like 2004 or whatever. And then in Gotham, it was kind of orchestrated him. Moving on to 64. Rhonda Dwayne. Kind of boring. I really don't care for the androids either. Moving on to 63. We have the Death Rattle. Oh, and also, by the way, in Gotham, I believe it's him, Doodlebug, and I think those are the main 2 I remember. They get mentioned when, like, Jerome, Scarecrow, and Mad Hatter escape, and Harvey and Jim are talking. They get mentioned. Moving on to 62. Tarantula. Tarantula's a fun character, but again, assassin, mercenary. Kind of kills it for me. Moving on to 61. We have the Great White Shark. One of my favorites. I love the Great White Shark. But again, he never gets used. If you have an amazing character, so use him. Moving on to 60. We have... Oh, never mind, I lied to you. There's more Great White Shark. Moving on to 60. We have the Black Mask. Another more famous, popular character. That you can clearly tell gets used a lot. I like Black Mask. It's literally just a guy with a black mask. There doesn't have to be anything more simpler than that. Moving on to 59, we have Payback. Payback's a fun character. Good concept, but I think the costume's a little boring. Moving on to 58, we have the Moon Man. Literally just the man with the moon. I'm dancing with the man in the mirror. Moving on to 57, we have the Quake Master. And also, don't even ask what the man in the mirror had to do with the man in the moon. Because they ran away with the spoon. Moving on to 56, we have Solomon Grundy, who was born on a Monday. Duh. Moving on to 55, we have Dr. Polaris, who is also a Wonder Woman villain, I believe it is, but is fought the Dark Knight multiple times. Moving on to 54, we have the Joker. The Joker had to set up a little differently, so we'll go through the Joker, which will take a little bit. The Joker has definitely gone through a lot of changes over the years. A lot of them have been good. They've had some fun, real fun with the clown. The clown, Prince of Crime. So starting off, we have Jerome Valeska. My opinion, one of the best, if not the best, version of Joker ever. Next up, we have Jeremiah Valeska, Jerome's brother. And if you need to pause the video, you can, but this is just mostly for the ranking. You don't have to read this, even though I put a lot of effort into it. And then we have Joseph Kerr, the more famous version of the Joker. We have Arthur Fleck, the Joker movie. I think it was like 2019 or something like that. We have Jack Napier. Jack Oswald White. And Curtis Bass. Moving on to 53, we have Professor Pig. Professor Pig's an amazing character that I feel also, again, gets misused, but he has actually been used quite often. I just love Professor Pig so much, just the insanity of Professor Pig. Moving on to 52, we have the Mad Hatter. Again, Mad Hatter is on the top of the list for me. If you haven't figured it out, the more insane the better for me. Moving on to 51, we have the Scarecrow. Scarecrow's a really good villain. He's definitely at the top of the list as well. One of the more famous and popular. He has also seen a couple of changes. Not much. It usually stays about the same. Moving on to 50. We have the Penguin. Same as like Scarecrow. He's definitely seen some changes. I love the phase from Batman the Telltale series. I love that design. It was so unique with the mask and the accent. Just him fighting a lot more. It's just very unique for the Penguin. Kind of just used to the obese man with the umbrella on the top hat and the monocle, sending out his goons and then getting his butt handed to him. Moving on to 49, we're in the top 50s. We have the Ogre, or the Don Juan Killer, but the Ogre is more used and again exclusive to Gotham. Moving on to 48, we have the Planet Master. Planet Master is also kind of fun. Moving on to 47, we have Bag of Bones / One Man Meltdown / the Cyclonic Man. Moving on to 46, we have Professor Radium. Also, what's really cool about Professor Radium is he looks just like Professor Hugo Strange. Moving on to 45, we have Francis Gray. Exclusive to the Batman 2004 show. Moving on to 44, we have the Dummy. Moving on to 43, we have Phosphorus Rex. These next ones are basically just based upon their present state. 42, we have Big Top. there's not really much to cover about the Circus of Strange characters. 41, we have Mr. Toad. And 40, we have Siam / Kishti, however you say that. I've always just called him Siam. Moving on to 39, we have the Rat Boy. Rat Boy's a cool character. Moving on to 38, we have Harley Quinn, who, for fun fact, first appearance was in Batman the Animated Series. And then she kind of just came into the DC world. I learn something new every day, don't ya? Moving on to 37, we have Catwoman. Moving on to 36, the March Harriet. Based on the March Hare, but this is a female, so it's the March Harriet. 35, King Tut. I love King Tut. He's just so stupid, but so fun. Next up, 34, we have the Ten-Eyed Man. It's exactly as it sounds like. For those of you who don't know who this is. Moving on to 33, we have the Riddler, who is one of the highest for me. If you made me pick between everyone that is popular and famous, this would be the one. But of course, he is not at the top. But if I was gonna pick more famous ones and well-known ones, it'd be the Riddler. Because once we get to my top 5, most people, nobody knows who they are. So, moving on to 32, we have Two-Face. And as you can tell, they start to get more and more sick mentally. And they start to go further and further into insanity. And that's, of course, when you start to figure out my list. Now we're at 31. We have, come on, Orca. Orca's a fun character. I feel like she should be used a lot more. Kind of like King Shark from the Flash show. Moving on to 30. We have Clayface, who I had to make similar to the Joker with how many there are. Clayface has seen a lot of changes as well throughout the years. Mostly for character development. So we're going to start off with the first one, chronologically, we have Ethan Bennett. The very first Clayface. Exclusive to the Batman 2004. But for most people, the first one is Basil Karlo. And this is the one that gets used the most, is Basil Karlo. The astound actor. Then we have Matthew Hagen. Preston Payne. Sandra Fuller. Cassius Clay Payne, Preston's and Sandra's son. We have Peter Malley. We have Todd Russell. And we have Johnny Williams. And that is Hilaire Clayface. Moving on to number 29, we have Jane Doe. Moving on to 28, We have Ra's al Ghul, or Ra's al Ghul. I know it gets pronounced different ways. I always say Ra's al Ghul, but I know it also gets said Ra's al Ghul. Definitely changes between shows and movies, but I've always stuck with Ra's al Ghul. Moving on to 27, the Man-Bat. And this isn't just about Dr. Robert Kirk Langstrom. It's about everyone who's been infected with the serum as well. Because in this one it talks about Abraham, his father, Francine's dad, and Francine and the kids. Man-Bat's a fun character. I know it gets tossed around a lot that if Batman wasn't alive, this would be Batman. Moving on, what is this, 26? Yep, we have Bane. Bane's been through a lot with a tough childhood, but after that, it was mostly cruise sailing until the withdrawal from the serum. Bane hasn't really changed much throughout time. $25, that's right, we've made it to 25. We have Killer Croc, who has changed between, does he have a tail? Does he have a big jaw? Is he just a man with scales? Moving on to 24, we have Firebug, another one of my favorites. Firefly's arch enemy, besides Batman. Moving on to 23, we have Maxi Zeus. Moving on to 22, the Everywhere Man, exclusive to the Batman 2004 show. Kind of a boring, classic character and ability to just duplicate. 21, Victor Zsasz, otherwise Mr. Zsasz. Zsasz is an amazing character. Especially Anthony Carrigan's character from the Gotham show. Spot on. Moving on to 20, we have Hush. In this one, here's what it's talking about from the latest Batman animated movie, Batman Hush. It's actually the Riddler is just playing everybody. Moving on to 19, we have Dr. Death. Moving on to 18, we have Baby Doll. Baby Doll hasn't really made many appearances. She hasn't really made much of an impact to the world. Moving on to 18. Oh, 17, sorry. We have the Doll Maker. Moving on to 16. We have Dr. Trap. Moving on to 15. We have the Clock King. Moving on to 14. We have the Ventriloquist in Scarface. Moving on to 13. We have Prometheus. Moving on to 12. We have Mime. Moving on to 11. We have Dr. Phosphorus. Moving on to 10. We have Mr. Freeze. Moving on to number 9. We have Poison Ivy. Moving on to number 8. We have the Charlatan. Moving on to number 7. We have the Savage Skull. Moving on to number 6. We have Deadshot. I just really love the fact that you go from this to this dude. From this to this. Like, seriously. Deadshot went through a serious change. Moving on to number 5. We have the Tallyman. We're in the top 5. Moving on to number 4. The Gentleman Ghost. Alright. And now we're gonna have some real fun. So let's get into it. We're gonna have some honorable mentions. Here we go. Onward, Robin. The Ghostmaker, Madame Crow, The Mute, Mr. Noxious, Mudface, The First Victim, Onomatopoeia, The Painter of Death, The Ant-Man, Mannequin, Twerk, Mad Stan, Inc., Jackson Chapel, The Gold Coin Killer, The Maid of Wood Killer, The Wizard, The Sportsmaster, Montague Kane, Master Jailer, Kilgore Steed, Rumor, Punch and Judy, Big Time, Prank, Golem, Tiny, Kronk, The Professor, Blaze, Bud and Lou, Buzz, Peter Pauline, Hamilton Hill, Rupert Thorne, Razor, Roach, Gillian B. Loeb, Silverback, Howard Brandon, J.T. Wicker, Frank Bowles, The Dentist, The Baker, Torch, Happy, Lazy Eye, The Weasel, Skeleton Keys, Hammer Toes, Babyface and Mrs. Manface, Polecat Perkins, The Birthday Boy, Blight, Paxton Powers, Boss Biggest, The Earth Mover, Min and Max, Taboo, Shriek, Lunkhead, The Jigsaw Man, The Angle Man, The Mortician, Mr. ZZZ, Ramrod, Dave, Chemo, Mirror, The Clockmaker, The Desert Fox, The Bone Crusher, Dr. Freak, Coach Krieger, K9, Harpy, The Crime Doctor, The Masked Menace, Duck Dotter, The Sportsman, Cap'n Fear, Lynx, The Dodo Man, Clubfoot, Brimstone, Zerno, Abattoir, Dr. Gmo, Equinox, Dr. Fang, the Actuary, the Ventriloquist and Ferdy, Ian Peak, Draken, Nivens, Ragdoll, Loose Lips, Mr. Hammer and Sickle, the Judge of Owls, the Court of Owls, the Whisper Gang, the Pack Rat, the Condiment King, the Mighty Mom, Cherry, Chucko, the Mad Dog, Martine, Clownface, Bonk, Bird, the Blockbuster, Ian Hargrove, Simon Stagg, Chief Raymond Underhill, Brown's Tiger, the second Terrible Trio exclusive to the Batman 2004, Richard Gladwell, the Mad Bomber, Arnold Dodkins, Robert Greenwood, Amygdala, the Inquisitor, or exclusive to the Harley Quinn show, the Psycho Pirate, Nilton, Fish Mooney, the Baffler, Ferris Boyle, the Red Hood, Philo Zeese, Thomas Schliff, Joe Chill, Joy Pollard, the Trigger Twins, Brutal, Cypher, Harvest, the Floronic Man, Alfred Stryker, the Director, Arnold Stromwell, the Animal Vegetable Mineral Man, the Mad Monk, Tony Zucco, the Phantasm, Professor Milo, Louis the Lilac, Lord Fog, Lady Penelope Pea Soup, OMAG Operative, Brother Eye, Wolf, Anthony Romulus, the Gargoyle, Punch, Jewel, the Corrosive Man, the Imposter Mad Hatter, Wesley Mathis, Olivia Carr, Orifice, Samson, the Jack-in-the-Box, Jackanapes, Bentley, Dollhouse, Samson, Gabe, Ghoul, the Joker King, Christina Bell, Henry Adams, Johnny Charisma, the Gotham Goliath, Upper King, Jazzman, the Headhunter, Pyro Howl, Jackal, Tembler, Cybercat, Billy, Jenny, Flux, Lady Arkham, Terminal, the Hyena, Petrosens, Tobias Whale, St. Louis, Gildedent, Rewire, Eli Nabel, Rumi Moore, Santa Claus, the Fearsome Hand of 4-liter, Baton Shot Bulk, Andre LeBlanc, The Ringer, Agent Jana, Revolver Rob, Triggerman Tony, Big Poochie, and Fast Freddy, the Puppet Master, the Mod Gorilla Boss, Wolf, J-Man, Bobby, Scab, Lee, Dottie, Maximilian, Max Shrek, the Red Triangle Clown Gang, Query, Echo, the DD Twins, Tick-Tock, the Lord Deathman, or Deathman simply, the Bank Bandit, or Zelda the Great, Archer, the Blue Bowman, Rhino, Muggsy, Nolan the Clown, Calamity Jane, Shame, Marty Slacker, Jane, Blaisdell, Julie, number 1, Eddie G, Arnold, Flaccid, the Squid, the Boss, Scarface, and Driller, Abel, Covier, Farmer Brown, Takeo, Tweedledee, Emperor Penguin, that's the entire Falcone family, that's the entire Sullivan family, and the Maroney family. We have the Russian, Vernon Wells, Napoleon, Dalda, Vadim, the Wrecker, the Trapper, Three Devils, Scorpio, the Grasshopper, the Blaze, the Designer, the Bad Hombre, El Papagayo, the Underbroker, Nosotromos, Skid Turkle, Stan Patulski, Ethel Peabody, Polly Pennies, the Cleaner, the Toad, Maxwell Simon, Isaac Steiner, Marv, the Ridgeback Monster, Merton and Grady Harris, Jude and Marge, the Ridlette, Ferris Boyle, Mojo, Garth, Tigress, Emil Dorian, Olga, the Queen of Cossacks, Lola Lasagna, Liza, Kabbalah and Dr. Cassandra Spellcraft, Talia Al Ghul, Lisa Racco, the Black Spider, Barsad, the Hook, Professor Ojo, Ubu, Cheshire, Mark Legrand, Dr. Dark, Lady Shiva, Sensei, Shrubby, the Enforcer, the Comforter, Lou Moxon, Roland Daggett, Johnny Witz. That's the entire Court of Owls. We have Schism, Ignition, The Mouse, Bounty, Scorch, Snakeskin, Hypnotic, Mr. Toxic, Mr. Combustible, Rumble, Mr. Mossack, Cure, Arsenal, Neon, the Time Commander, the Evil Star, Armory and the Imperceptible Man, Mr. Twister, Ding Dong Daddy, Kitten, the Weeper, King Cobra, Silver Banshee, Tusk, the Creeper, Atomic Skull, TDK, Wrath and Scorn, Professor Hugo Overkill, Frenchie Blake, Wolf, the Crime Master, the Monster Men, Blackbeard, Paliochi, the Answer, the Slasher, the Reaper, NKV Demon, KN, the Bahia Man, Hoofda, Metalhead, Mortimer Cadaver, Mr. Whisper, the Night Scourge, the Synaptic Kid, the Destroyer, the Queen of Hearts, Curtis Eisenman, the Royal Flush Gang, the Wild Card, the Steel Jacket, Benedict Asp, the Waxman, the Zombie, Trog, Mikros, Nocturna, Lady Spellbinder, Johnny Karaoke, the General, Gunhawk and Gun Bunny, Silver Monkey, Dr. Military / Dr. Military Vehicle, Allergent, Narcosis, Witch, the Magician, Vox, Faceless, the Man Who Laughs, the French Joker. We have the Bulb, Black Hand, Ferric, Mr. X, Nicholas Scratch, Iron Hat Ferris, the Condor Gang Boss, the Molder, the Atom Master, the Sandman, the Mental Giant, St. George, the Human Flea, Nobody, Catgirl, the Key, Matches Malone, the Muse, the Hangman, Colonel Sulphur, Dr. Gar, the Pigeon Person, the Ogre and the Ape, Lisa, the Master of Weapons, the Snowman, Magma, Freon, 2D Man, the Hooded Hangman, Dr. Harold Hodges, Siren, Minerva, Chendel, Randall, Fingers, Pussycat, Black Widow, Marcia, the Queen of Diamonds, Ma Parker, Legs, Machine Gun, Mad Dog, and Pretty Boy, Georgia, Frank the Plank, the Mole, the Joker's Daughter, the Treasure Hunter, the Gong, the Scuttler, Gustave de Cobra, the Plague Man, the Plague Doctor, Mr. Fix, Dr. Stephanie Lake, Whisper Adair, the Judge, the Mummy, Dr. Pneumonio, Kyoto Ken, Nicodemus, Mr. X, Triggersmith, Gemfist, the Dollman, the Lucky Star, and Tezcatlipoca. We have Kuran, the Chief Dragon, Flashback, Owlman, Texas Dave, the Kingpin. We have Karma, Dr. Jeremiah Arkham, the Ventriloquist and Scarface, Diesel, Conundrum, the Bone Blaster, the Black and White Bandit, Dasan Al Ghul, the Double Dare, Facade, the Globe, Hellhound, King Cole, Johnny Frost, Johnny Stitches, Devil Dog, Sister Zero, Robert, we got Smush, Bootface, Bathead, Scallop, Sharptooth, the Candyman, Loveless, the Shark, the Interrogator, Gil Mason, Arcady Duvall, Grant Walker, the Son of Pig, Fat T and the T's, Nux, Robert Vance, Goat Boy, Dr. David Wheeler, Arnold Herbst, Bombshell, the Invulnerable Man, Edgar Mandragora, Falseface, Bullwhip, Dr. Daka, the Lion, Lula, Tyrus, Benny, Major, Karos, Ronnie Boxer, Ma Mayhem, Carl Mayhem, Slim Mayhem, Jordan Price, Dr. Light, King Shibatar, Clayface of Japan, Max Roboto, the Weasel, the Wedge, Flame Dupree, Absence, Dr. Daedalus, the Heretic, Jezebel Jet, the Skin Talker, Paradox, ID, Sister Crystal, Hoofda. Losing my voice now. The Werewolf, El Sombrero, Scorpiana, the Swagman, Pere, Lunaire, Charlie Kaluga, King Kraken, Lipa Sue, A Little Italy, Madam X, Master Bruce, the Street Demons, the Squid, the Transit Authority, Scarlet, Sebastian Blackspell, Terminus, the Rainbow Creature, Prudence, the Pearly Prince, Mother, Kronos, Cupcake, the April Moon Gang, and the Moon Gang. Oh, thank God. Moving on to number 3. Humpty Dumpty. Moving on to number 2. We have El Flamingo. Moving on to number 1, we have Azrael. And then just for fun, yeah, it's not gonna do it, okay. So these are my top 5. And that's it. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Put a comment down below who is your favorite villain. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next question video. Have a good night, y'all.